Thank you very much. Am I audible? Am I visible? Internal freedom is not a destination, it's a growth path. Self-awareness is the cornerstone to find one's purpose in life. By the way, these are my quotes. As part of my book, it's called The Thoughts. And today, I'm going to talk about the story, a very fascinating story for me. I'm hoping and praying that it would be fascinating for you as well. My story about the book, or rather the outcome of this entire journey, has been captured as quotes in my book called The Thoughts. Now let me begin. So I request all of you to travel back with me 2.5 decades ago. I'm talking about the early 90s or the late 80s, when for the first time I understood, realized, experienced, and learned what is self-awareness. And here is the story. It was a cold December evening in the city of Bangalore, and people who are there in the 80s will understand what I'm calling what. It's a cold evening, just finished work, had a long day at work for sure. Finished work, a couple of my friends said, let's go and have some coffee. So we went to a nearby restaurant, we bought coffee, came out of the restaurant, and who are in Bangalore will understand we have these self-service restaurants where you can stand outside and have coffee. We're standing around a table and we were talking aimlessly, something. And suddenly this whole attention turned towards me. They started cracking jokes about me. Initially, I enjoyed it because I was getting attention. Later, when the jokes started getting harder, this happiness turned to a frown and then turned into a rage, and I left the place in a huff. Went home, locked myself in the room, didn't speak to anybody. One great master stroke happened at that time. And that stroke was, I was quiet for some reason. I didn't understand. I was quiet and I observed myself. This was the first master stroke I got for self-awareness. When I realized what was happening, it came to my mind that the remarks that I made, they were talking about the projection of who I am as opposed to what I am. And that was an internal conflict of mine, and they had triggered it. This is what exactly happened. Then when I started realizing it, another master stroke happened to me, and that is called acceptance. So I started accepting myself. Okay, this is not what I am, and this is what I am, and so what? So be it. The moment I said that to myself, believe me, the anger went, the commotion went, the conflict went, and the rage went. Suddenly, from a person, it's like a roller coaster. You're on a crescendo of anger to the calmness of a lake. I went through this journey in a matter of 3 hours. And trust me, it was painful, to say the least. It wasn't an easy one. Now this started a domino effect in me, where I started, and what triggered this, before I go into domino effect, what triggered this was this simple word which is called why. Nothing more and nothing less. This question of why made me acutely aware of myself, and I stand in front of you today. And what this question did to me, for anything and everything I did after this instance I related to you, I started asking this question, why? Now I'll give another example how this why worked for me. There was another time when I was talking to a colleague of mine in my office, and we were discussing something about a work-related challenge. He was sharing his viewpoint, and I was sharing mine. And after the sharing got over, we went back to our desks. And I sat back at my desk and I said, why did I speak what I spoke? What made me do this? Then I realized that I spoke because I wanted to speak, not because I had to speak. This was one other powerful distinction I got in my life. Likewise, there have been dozens and dozens of instances where it has helped me to become the better version of myself. Now I'll ask you this question. How many of you here always aspired to be a better version of yourself? Right. How many of you think right now, after listening to me for all this while, that internal freedom is a journey and not a destination? Here we go. So the result of all of this is the book called Detox. And before that, I had lots of other experiences. They were heart-wrenching experiences. They were painful experiences. They were excruciation in pain. I've been through all of that. And then I later realized that each one of those things which I had about myself started dropping like a leaf, a dry leaf. They started dropping. There is a word called neti. This is not in Sanskrit. So then I started realizing this is not me. So this is not me was a result of the question why I asked earlier. So when I more ask this question why about myself, and believe me, this has become an automated process within me. Right now, the question is still running inside me. Am I sharing this because I want to prove a point? Or am I sharing this because I'm genuinely interested? Now you are the audience and you judge this. For me, my judgment is there. Likewise, when we look at things in life, or rather, when I looked at my own things in life, there were times when it was really hard for me to crack it. There used to be a number of days it used to take for me to crack it. It was a real problem. And suddenly it became a nightmare for me because suddenly in the middle of the night I used to wake myself up. And I could not sleep later. So all this journey has taught me one very important thing in life. Life is a flow, go with it. It's just a flow. And the other powerful thought or realization I had was, the life what we think about is all in a thought. Because it's only a thought. When I looked at my life this way, then I started saying, how do I share this? What do I do with this? If I wanted to write a book about this, then it would be like pages and pages and pages and pages. Then I wanted to give it to people in a very short form, succinctly and completely. This is where the idea of writing quotes came into me. So I started writing. Then I started sharing it in my Facebook. In my Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook and things like that. One friend of mine, suddenly one message I got, and he said, "Sir, your quotes are very related. I like them a lot. Why didn't you make it into a book?" It was a very friend of mine who said that. And then I also joined TLC and I met another great gentleman called Ilan. And I need to talk about this for him. Ilan said, "When are you writing your book?" I said, "Sir, I wanted to write a book of quotes, but I'm going to drop it. I'm not going to write it now, a little later." And he said, "Why? Finish it, publish it, let us see what happens." This kind of encouragement is what I actually needed as a capsule. Then I finished the book in a short span of time and I got it published. And today here I am on the 3rd of April, one of the most momentous days in my life that I've launched a book in front of this wonderful august audience. So I should deserve an applause for this. Please applaud. So what else, mates? This is a journey I have realized. I realized that this is not something that is going to stop. The more I think about it, the more finite elements, very nuances are coming out. Today morning when I woke up, I first thought I'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Then I actually got up at 4:30. Then I thought I have to prepare for my speech. Then I said, no, I will not prepare for my speech. And it was this conversation going for a while. And then I said, okay, look, let me not prepare for a speech. Let me speak it out. So I recorded it. And I started listening to it for a while. So this is what actually happened to me in all these days. So in conclusion, what I want to say is, the journey that I began in the 80s for discovering myself and knowing more about it, in 2025 has become a book. Now, do you want to call it a journey of 40 years? Or do you want to call it a journey of 3 months? Or do you want to call it a journey of 6 months? Whatever. That's random. But again, is this going to stop here? No. Murli sir says, quotes number 2 should be out. Okay? So I realize that this is a journey. So in the conclusion, what I'm trying to say is, for every person, the most critical thing which I have observed in my life, and I want all of you to really lend me your ears on this, is self-awareness is very critical to find one's purpose in life. And this is a continuous journey. It is not going to stop. And how do I do self-awareness? Very simple. Be aware, ask why, accept what's happening, wonderful things will happen to you. Do I have your word on this? Can I get a bigger S? Yes. Okay, now I want 3 things from you. Buy my book on Amazon. The second thing is, I have a blog site, quotesandnotes.in. Subscribe to my blog. And 3, become aware and enjoy your life. Thank you very much.